Good morning, everybody. Good morning. We are starting Melacha Borer today. We continue Melacha Borer. It's very interesting that in the coronavirus, the Melacha Borer, Melacha Shabbat, Melacha Borer has a special significance for us. What's the significance for us? Now, we're doing interesting halacha that could we say Birkat Ilanot? Maybe we talked about Birkat Ilanot on Shabbat or not. Now, Ben Ish Chai says it's better not to say Birkat Ilanot on Shabbat. Now, why? What does Birkat Ilanot? Which bracha is saying Birkat Ilanot? What's wrong with saying Birkat Ilanot on Shabbat? He says the bracha of Birkat Ilanot is mevarer. The tzikul of the bracha is to do borer. In other words, the sceneries and the beauty of outside has its own physical attraction and has own physical contamination. And staying through saying the bracha, we mevarer, we separate the ruchniot of all of the sceneries from the materialistic, and we say that the spring is coming up, the trees are so beautiful, so nice. From the beautiful scenery we should use for Avodat Hashem, not the other way. That's why we have a Pirkei Avot springtime, because springtime the weather is good, the sceneries are beautiful. Now scenery is being beautiful and the weather being good could have two effects. One could be that the person gets involved more in Gashmut and materialistic life and indulge himself, or a person would get more Turuchniot to appreciate and to be grateful. Now that's Birkat Ilanot said that should not be done on Shabbat, because on Shabbat the Melacha Borer is also, in other words, we cannot separate between bad and good. Here is Mevarer, your Borer, separating the Ruchniot from the Gashmut, the spiritual Borer, therefore it will be also. Now, Rav Yosef says that no, that all of the Melacha Borer is also only physical sense, not spiritual sense. Therefore, it says mutar. But Ben Ish Chai says should not be done. Now, if we don't have to say, we don't say it. If you have to say, we say somebody loses say. But my point is that there is a Borer. Borer means separation from the good and bad. In other words, a person takes good from bad. And that happened after the Chet of Adam Harishon. Before the sin of Adam Harishon, the world things were separated from each other. And the only test that Adam Harishon had to identify this is good or bad. He didn't have to separate. Something was good, something was bad. The only behira, free choice that he had to identify whether it's good or bad. Once he identified, that was it. But nowadays, we have two jobs. One job is to, in other words, me'urav. It's hada'at. Da'at means chibur. That she made chibur, made connection, made irhuvia, made the word of confusion. Confused word. Now the things, it's very hard to identify. Good could show itself as bad, bad could show itself as good. Now our job is a much harder job. It's a mixed up word. You have to identify between good and bad to see what's contaminated, what's not. And then, first of all, that job became a greater job, right? It wasn't just identification in the essence. Now it's mixed up and it's much harder because they could disguise themselves. And the other thing is that after that we identify, still the job is not been done. We have to have temptation. We have to overcome the temptation to overcome temptation. Now that is therefore that after the chet is the confusion, and the bracha borer becomes a very essential bracha borer, kanisas suram haba. Now all of the melachot kanisas suram haba. All of our life is birurim, or mevarer, what's good, what's bad, what's good, what's bad. For a Jew, everything is a question of bad and good. All of our life is a birur, separation between good and bad. Person would think that no, there is the question of derech eretz, discipline, having discipline, not having discipline. What's the impact? How many tell us that from small things, the impact is much greater. Small act, small attitude, small things brings a very great impact in a person. Person is very complicated. The psychology of a person is very complicated. Very small thing triggers the person, triggers the neshama. Small good act uplifts a person, makes the person ready for a great nisayon. And the other way, small doing something wrong puts down a person, and person loses that immunity to be immune to the sin. Therefore, psychology of person is very complicated, and we don't know. The olam is olam of biruri, all the time, for family, with friends, with the children. All of the, like Mr. Chalim says, our job in this world is la'amut ben istadion. Everything is a test. Everything is a test. Imagine that we tell somebody, we put an account for you. And whatever that he says that we hire somebody. He says, how do you pay me? He said, for every movement that you have, if you make a right movement, you get paid. If not, you don't. But for everything, you're going to get paid. For being good and doing good and writing the truth and valuing, making biruri and separation between good and bad and choosing good, for any act of choosing, you get the reward. And that's our life. Our life gives us such a vitality. Remember, imagine learning Yachad and you are telling somebody that when they say that you are eating your food, you have to take good from bad. You're not allowed to take bad from good. Say that you have let's say that you are eating let's say that you are eating some type of salad. There is a particle there that you don't like. There's garbage there. You're not allowed to take the garbage out. You should eat whatever that's good. Now imagine you are learning that with some college students, and they come and they tell you that in a coronavirus world, people are dying. People are doing. No, what are you doing? In the Middle East, things are happening. China, things are happening. And here you are learning the halacha of when you eat, you should take which one you should take. No, what does it make difference? Take whatever that you want and eat it. You don't understand. Torah is teaching us how to fight the coronavirus. Coronavirus makes life not to have any significance. Right now, the rate of suiciding is greatest because people don't find any meaning in life. Life becomes mundane. In other words, somebody who's committing suicide in coronavirus is not committing suicide right now. He committed suicide when he was mature. When he became mature, he understood life is the job, life is what I'm accomplishing, and the media and the world. He never found himself. He never was in touch with himself. Somebody is committing suicide when he loses the job. That means to say he had the wrong identification of life. He didn't understand what's life about. He's not committing suicide now. He's committing suicide when he became mature, when he chose the road of life, and he was going in illusion and delusion because that wasn't life. Life is above these things. Life, the gift of life, is above looking and understanding that is above all of this job. But therefore, in the world of coronavirus, a person loses significance of life because significance of life was him for making money, making media, but Torah tells us every movement of you, every act, everything that you do has a significance, especially on Shabbat, because you are a zone connecting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You want to eat the food, whether the world would say, what's the significance? What does it make difference if I take bad, good? They go crazy. Torah comes and tells us that your life, your deed, your action, your dibur, whatever that you do has a significance because you make a great impact in the world. And that is our perspective in life. Torah tells us makes a difference. You're going to become a different person, different vitality. You give everlasting to the world. The world becomes a different world with these mundane things that you do. This is you. This is your life. The other things only just a device how to find parnasa, device of. Before the Chet HaMarishon, we wouldn't need parnasa. In other words, the parnasa was ready. Olam shekulo Shabbat. But the sin cause that the person has to do is that apicha tochalechem is a klala, it's a curse. You should understand. It's a curse. It's a curse. But if we could find our own ways that we get rid of it and we devote ourselves to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. See, we have to understand. Devoting ourselves to HaKadosh Baruch Hu means devoting ourselves to ourselves, understanding ourselves better, having the happiness and joy in our hands. In other words, the Gemara says, somebody who just looking for occasion to make him happy, he's ever in badbachte. He's very poor. How he could arrange the occasion to make him happy? Makes the best occasion. Imagine the bar mitzvah of his son, the happiness of wedding, the happiness. Something would go wrong. Therefore, that occasion would be messed up for him. It's unbelievable. Therefore, when are you going to make yourself happy? With the occasion. The occasion will be provided with all of the needs and all of the ramification of it. A lot of times it's impossible for us to do that. Therefore, we have to understand the secret of happiness, the secret of being healthy, the secret of having vitality in life is finding ourselves and understanding even very mundane things makes a difference. That's why Shabbat connects us with Olam Haba. Shabbat tells us you are eating food, very mundane thing. And that mundane thing, when you act, you create olamot, you create malachim, you create olam haba, you create connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's the significance of your life. That's what it is, olam haba. That's Shabbat olam haba. 39 melachot are physical melachot through physicality to be Eved Hashem and understanding that there's a significance in all of these things, because when I'm not doing that, I'm connecting to Borei Olam. And I understand that the life is above this creativity of this melachot. That in itself gives me a different stand, empowers the person. That empowers the person. Very good. Now we want to talk about today. We understood, last week we talked about Borei to become mutar. It's not the melacha Borei becomes mutar. Torah never said the function of eating is asur. Melacha Borei is asur, but the function of eating is mutar. Torah never made function of that never makes the melacha mutar. Melacha is asur. But the function of eating, in other words, if you are doing Borei not to be fault of a function of eating, that's the melacha that becomes the work and it's asur on Shabbat. But now, how do we define the function of eating? Hazal tell us the function of eating, there are three elements to define it. First of all, when you eat, there is the eating and storing. When you eat, what you do, you take the food and put it in your mouth. But when you want to store something and there's some garbage inside, you take the garbage. Therefore, taking the garbage is an act of storing. And taking the food is the act of eating. The function of eating is mutar. That's one thing. Second, when you prepare the food and you separate them, you do with a device. Use a sifter, use a strainer, use something. That is preparing food, it's not eating. When you are doing that separation with the utensils, with the device, with the keli, that is not function of eating, that's asur. Therefore, Borei has to be done with the hand. Now, what about fork, spoon, and knife? Fork, spoon, and knife is considered the extension of your hand. That's not called special device. Even though that with your hand you cannot peel a fruit and you have to come out to knife to do it, but still knife is not a device to store. Knife is being used for function of eating. Therefore it's good, it's mutar. Because first of all, you have to cut the things to the pieces, small pieces to eat. And the other thing is that you have to peel fruit. With knife, you do that. Therefore, using these utensils is mutar. Now, what about if you have wine and it has some subdue, in other words, you want to separate wine from the shimarim of it, from the remnant of it, and you want to pour from one cup to another cup. Now, poskim talk about putting from cup to another cup, or there was a customary that when they had coffee, they would use yolk as a creamer to use in the coffee. I don't know whether people like it nowadays or not, I don't know, but poskim talk about it. Now, imagine you have an egg, and you want to separate yolk from the, in other words, you want to take the white part, yolk from the white part. How do you do it? In other words, you take a cup and you want to pour to another cup to put the yolk and to separate them. Using two cups, is it considered as a device and would be asur or would be mutar? That's a debate. Mishnah Berurah says using two cups is not because you are not using the cup as a device of boreh, you're using the technicality. It's a technical. In other words, the only way to put it out is through cup. Therefore, cups would be mutar. Even that would not be considered a device. Now, the only question is, when you use two cups or you pour down something, we say that even if you don't do it, you use the device, but there's another element. What is called ochel and pesolet. You have to take out ochel from pesolet. Now, when you pour down, in other words, if you want to be safe, you want to take ochel from garbage, food from garbage. Now, when you pour down something, what's considered you are holding? What's considered you are letting go? Now, you have to hold the food and let go of garbage. Now, there is a question when you pour down, what is considered you are holding? What's considered that you are letting go? In other words, what is remains in your cup or your thing that you are putting, that is considered you are holding? Or no, when you put it down, whatever that's down is the ochel. It's considered you are holding the ochel. It's a very interesting debate in poskim. And finally, Benishchai or Letzion and our poskim Sephardim especially, they come out that what you are holding, that's considered you are holding the food. What goes down is the garbage. Therefore, if let's say that you want to separate an egg, yolk from the white part, now, if you want the yolk, that would be considered ochel. Therefore, you have to let the chelbon, the white part, to go down and to hold into the yolk. That would be considered. But let's say that if you want to pour down something and have another thing, and to be safe from borel, then you have to make sure that in other words, you pour down the garbage. The garbage should go down and you hold into the ochel, then it's okay. Even that you use two cups, that's not called using device. Therefore, we said the borel, you have to take the food from the garbage. You should use your hand, not the device. Any type of device would be asur to be used. And then the third thing we say is it should be miyad. In other words, when you eat, you take ochel from pesolet, food from garbage, with your hand, and right away you put it in your mouth, you eat it. But what about if you separate them and you don't want to eat it right away, or betoch half an hour? Half an hour is considered stomach. Some of in poskim, half an hour is considered during the time that you are doing it. Later than half an hour becomes separated. Half an hour somehow is connected to your act. Therefore, even if you separate food from garbage and not with the device, if you leave it for later, would be also. That means to say, let's say that if you want to make egg salad for Shari Sudot, if you do it in morning and you peel an egg and prepare it, would be also. You could peel an egg. Peeling an egg is melacha boreh. It's mutar only betoch half an hour. If you want to peel another fruit and to eat it betoch half an hour, it's mutar. In other words, the ladies that they want to make salad, they should make it in half an hour of the husband finishing davening or husband coming from shul. They're coming from shul, but they have shul. But finishing davening and be ready for the Seudah. But if they do it 2-3 hours before, that's not right. Therefore, another element in border has to be done miyad, to be done into half an hour, not later. Therefore, these 3 are definitions of the border to define what the melacha of border is. Now, in other words, we have to understand that when we talk about using a device, now let's say that you have a kettle that you have Shabbos tea inside. You have leaves and hot water, you put it together and you make tea. Now on Shabbat, how do you make Shabbat? How do you make tea on Shabbat? You know, the traditional way is to prepare the essence for the leaves. You pour hot water on them and you make the tea, very strong tea. And then from that kettle, you put the tea, the essence in a cup. Now we have to understand this cup that you are putting from the kettle, you cannot put it in the urn and pour water on it, because pouring water from the urn in the cup cooks. The irui means pouring from a keli rishon to another utensils. It cooks. Therefore, what you do, you should take the water from the urn, an empty cup, dried empty cup, and then that cup you put it on this cup. That's the way to make tea on Shabbat. Otherwise, if you make, now some people they make, in other words, otherwise it would be us. Now imagine the kettle you have. Now what is in that kettle? You have tea leaves and the water, the essence, the essence of the tea. Now when you put it down, there are holes by the sprout, that these holes leaves the tea, doesn't let the leaves to come out. It doesn't let them come out, and that separates the essence that you want from the. Now, even though that you are taking the ochel from pesolet, because the ochel comes out from the pesolet, you are getting to the ochel, the food, but still is asur. Why? Because it's being done through a device, through a utensil would be asur. Now, what's the halacha? What should we do? In other words, now here we come out with another interesting point about border. Now, what about this? Another case, like another case. They say you have a soup, and there is a fat on the soup. There's a layer of fat on the soup, and you don't want, obviously, today everybody's healthy, doesn't want the fat. You want to take out the layer of the fat from the soup and eat it. Now, again, when you are taking out, you're taking something that you don't want. Then what's going to be there? In other words, even though that you are not doing it with the spoon, but it's also in that case because you're taking bad from good. Another case, what about you have a lettuce and you are checking the lettuce to find out whether it's kosher? Lettuce, romaine lettuce especially, you have to check it. You find the bugs on it. What should you do? These bugs, if you take out the bugs from the lettuce, you are taking bad from the good. Now, to answer all of these questions, you have to understand another very important element about borer. As we said, the melacha of borer is mevarer, separation. As we explained in the spiritual sense of that, it was the irvuv, it was a mixture, confusion. And the things got confused together because they got me'urav and mixed together. Now you have to separate them. What is good, what's bad. Here also, the melacha of borer is a melacha when we have a mixture together. If you don't have a mixture together, there's no melacha of borer. Let's say that you have a plate. In that plate, there is green beans, one side, there is rice, there is piece of meat. Let's say you don't have green beans that put on the side, you want to take green beans out. You could do that. It's not borer. No, one. Why? Somebody says the mixture you are taking back from the good. No, because each one is separate for itself. When it's separate for itself, it's not borer. The melacha of borer is only when we have a mixture. Once it's got mixed together, then we have the melacha of borer. Therefore, here, Therefore, here is not melacha borer because it's not mixed. Now let's come to the fat on the top of the bottom of the soup. Now, is this fat mixed with the soup or not? The fat as the thick layer. The thick layer, as long as you don't touch the bottom layer, that the bottom layer is in touch with the soup, you are okay, you are fine. Therefore, with the spoon, you could pick up the top layer, the thick top layer, but don't get to the soup. As long as you don't get to the soup, you are fine. Therefore, you could take all of the layer off and you are fine. Why? Because it's not mixed together. Now, what about that small layer that stays at the end? Then would be borer. You cannot just take out the things. Now, what could you do? You could do is, now, the melacha borer is when you do separation. In other words, you have a garbage and food, you take out the garbage. Even if you take out one garbage, you say that over here we have the grain, we have a food. They say that we have a plate of food, you have 3 garbage inside, 4 garbage inside. This that you don't like, you don't want it. Even if you take one of them, even though that these things are not fixed up, still there's more garbage inside. But the fact that you took one and you separate that bad from the good, that's borer, that's awesome. Now, what could you do is, you could take some of the food with the garbage. If you take some of the food with the garbage, what's going to happen? If you take the food with the garbage, what's going to happen is that there is a mixture, here also is a mixture. We don't see that you separated bad from the good. As long as the mixture stays as a mixture, still is a mixture, then it's fine. Therefore, here also, you could take the fat with a little bit of soup. If you take the fat with the soup, then it's fine. If you take the soup with fat by itself, not to take any soup with it, therefore, comes out like this. The top layer that's not mixed, you could take it. Now, the layer that is in touch with the soup, then would be borer. But what could you do? You take with some soup. If you take with some soup, then you are fine. Then it's not melacha of borer because the mixture and still is the mixture, then it's fine. Now, if you have a bug on the lettuce, that's also not a mixture. It's identified. As long as the bug is not very small, you could see it, and it's not very small, it was identified on the lettuce, therefore it's a bug for itself. Therefore, that bug would not be the melacha borer to take it out. To take it out would not be melacha borer because again, it's not a mixed, it's not a ta'arovet. Whenever there is no ta'arovet, we are not talking about, it wouldn't be borer. Let's say that if you have a drink and something falls in the drink that you don't like, there is somebody, there's a fly or whatever falls on the drink you don't like. Therefore, could you take out or not? It's an interesting question in the poskim that, as we said, the melacha borer is only if there's a mixture. Now, if that thing that fell in the drink is not a very small thing, it's obvious, it's a piece. You could see it and stands. Now, some poskim hold that if it stands by itself in the water, it's not mukse because it sticks out. It's not borer because it sticks out. In other words, this idea is brought down in poskim, and some poskim will go with it, but a lot of other poskim they disagree with it. They say that even though as long as it's not a very big piece, small piece, it's melacha borer. Therefore, they say it's better. There also, if there's a fly in the drink and you want to take out and drink it, or there's garbage, something that you want to take it out, always better to take it with some juice, some drink. If you take them together, then it's not borer, then it's fine, and you could do that. Therefore, again, here also the same thing. Now, let's come back to our case. What about the kettle? That you have the tea inside. Now, the kettle that you have tea inside, now again, where are the leaves? There are leaves in the bottom of the kettle, and the essence on the top. Therefore, when you are pouring down, you are pouring the top from the bottom, and it's not tarovet. Don't mix them. Don't shake them to mix them. Just let the leaves be the bottom. Then when you pour slowly, then you are not touching the mixture, then it's mutar. But it's mutar till you get to the point that all of the essence are gone from the top, and you start pouring from the leaves and the essence together. When the seed leaves and essence are together, then it would be problematic. Then you have to. Then it would be a problem to pour it down because the strainer there strains the leaves from the top. You're using keli. That would not be okay. Therefore, the etzah is to pour it from the other side, not from the. Don't use the sprout. It's from the other side that everything would come out together, and if we tired of it, then you could use it like that. Let the leaf go down, and then you could drink it. Then everything has a solution in Torah. Everything has a solution. Therefore, here also would be, in other words, to use it. That's the way to do it. Therefore, all of these cases are, you have to be careful not to use. Now, what about, let's say that your wife made peas for Shabbat, and you want to serve the peas with a ladle with the holes, and you want to take just the peas. Now, could you use a ladle with the holes that just take the peas and the soup, whatever that's there, stays out. It will not pick up. Well, what are you doing? One could tell me that you are taking food from the pistolet because that's the food that you want, and the other ones are pistolet. The water there is a pistolet you don't want, therefore should be mutar, but it's also because you are using a keli. Again, with device, also. Therefore, here also, you shouldn't use the ladle with the hole, use the ladle, regular ladle, and you put it, and whatever that stays, stays. Therefore, here also, you could do that, and that would be fine. In other words, that would not be boring. Now, it's very interesting in the East Coast. I don't know in California also it's so customary or not. In the East Coast, when you have the salt shaker, a lot of times there's moisture there, and because there's the moisture, they put the rice in the salt shaker to prevent the salt getting moisture, because rice absorbs the moisture, and the salt. If the salt becomes moisture, it's very hard, doesn't come out. Now the question is, could we use that on Shabbat or not? Now what's the question? Because here the holes that you have on the salt shaker prevents the rice to come out, and only salt will come out. Therefore here you are taking the good from bad, but the only thing is that you are using a utensil for that. Therefore, what's the halacha? Now, some poskim say it's not okay, should not be done, but most poskim say it's mutar. Now, what's the reason that's mutar? Different reason were given for that. One special reason is that the holes in the shake. What's the purpose of the holes in the salt shaker? What's the purpose of the holes? In other words, when we have a strainer, the purpose of the hole is to sift, because the strainer is being used as a sifter. We have things we want to pull down. We want everything. We don't put on a strainer. We put in the strainer because we want to separate from what we want from whatever that the juice goes down. Or it's sift. Why are there holes in the sift? To separate. We let the solid go down. Now, what about the holes in a salt shaker? Why they made holes there? You know why they made holes there? There is no separation to be made. Usually they put salt there. That's the purpose of the holes. The purpose of the holes is not for separation. It's not a kelim miyuchad lebore. The purpose of the hole is to regulate the pouring. You don't want to pour down so much salt into your food, and your food gets salty. Therefore, to regulate the pouring, you have holes there. The holes let the salt come out in a regulated way, within too much. Therefore, the purpose of the holes are not for separation. Therefore, that's not the kelim miyuchad lebore. It's not special keli for doing separation. since this keli is not made for separation, therefore, the fact that it does, then it's okay. It doesn't matter. Therefore, that's why it's mutar. Therefore, it's basically most poskim hold like that. That's mutar. The person could shake it, or others say that since like the way you use it, some poskim holds even right the way with the keli is mutar. It could be somech on that with the other stanifim that should be mutar, or you not on the chaven, even though that pestigresha is only the rabbanon somehow here. Therefore, they are telling at the end of the day, his mutar could be used on Shabbat. It's very interesting sevara here. Now, what about filter? Let's talk about filter. Could we use filter on Shabbat, water filter? Now, there is a halacha, Shulchan Aruch says, if you sifted the flour and you want to sift it again on Shabbat, as long as nothing fell in the flour, it's mutar, because it was sifted. In other words, sifting, the melach of sifting is not just letting something go through the sifter. The melach of sifting is separation. Now, separation is a separation when it has a significance. If there's no significance in the separation, it's okay. There's no significance to it. Therefore, sifting water depends. If you are sifting water because the water cannot be drunk, nobody would drink this water, and the filter helps and makes it drinkable, people would drink it, then sifter is doing separation, and that sifter would not be mutar to be used. But if that water could be drunk, a person would drink it, if you get started, would drink it, but the only thing is makes it better, enhances that. That doesn't make a significant into that, then it's mutar. Most filters are for that reason. Therefore, that would be okay. Now, in New York, there are filters for taking the bugs from the water. Some waters in New York, they have some questions. Over there, the question is the greater question, that whether a filter that is being used for the thing should be mutar or not. Over there, also, if you hold mitzat halacha for sure is asur, then it would be a question. If you hold it's only a chumrah, because there's a big debate regarding to that, then it would be, depends on that, then it would be bigger question. But if you are just using a filter, in Los Angeles, you use the filter only to make it better, to enhance that would not be considered significant in the borer, then would not be melacha borer, then it would be mutar to use a filter on Shabbat. I'm just talking about, of course, the filter not from the fridge, because the fridge filter would be using, if it is digital or it has any type of connection with electricity, it would be also because of that. But the filter that's mechanical and doesn't use electricity or batteries, then the regular filter, or the normal filter at home could be used, and that would not be the melacha of borer. Now, what about using a peeler on Shabbat? Could you use a peeler for peeling cucumbers, peeling, in other words, potato? You cannot peel on Shabbat because, a person say, in other words, what this is raw food that you cannot just peel like that. It's mukse on Shabbat. You cannot use it. Now, potato, there is a big question, but mostly we don't use potato on Shabbat, raw. Therefore, whatever raw food that we don't use it on Shabbat, it's mukse, it cannot be used. Now, could we use a peeler to peel cucumber? Now, the point is like this. How does the peeler work? When you peel cucumber, really you're just peeling the layer of the peel, or some of the food also comes out with it. Most of the times, some of the food, some of the cucumber comes out with it. According to the definition that we said, borer is a borer when you separate things from each other, and you separate bad from the good. But if you separate both together, and that is what it does, it's not borer. It's not the melacha borer. Melacha borer is separation completely. If it still is together, then it's okay. Some say it's better not to be used. and Mitzad Halacha, that what Yosef said is okay, could be used on Shabbat. Therefore, it's basically we are touching the main Melacha Borer. Now we're going to go if there is some questions.